Great morning and happy Friday. I'm enjoying some sunshine and a light breeze, some dandelion tea with some medicinal mushroom cacao and some hawthorn hearts. After a nice hot yoga practice this morning, it's just starting to feel myself detox from eating some things that I don't typically eat and all the travel. So there have been some patterns that I've been witnessing, and I feel could be helpful if I were to share some of these. One of the largest things I've seen people a little concerned over is that they're experiencing Ascension Sickness, and it's showing up for a lot of people like a head cold or your standard cold. And as I discussed earlier, I guess it was actually a couple weeks ago, we've been in this deep purging process. And so in that detoxification, we end up hitting some areas maybe where we're continuing to deposit toxins back into the body. And that doesn't have to always be in our diet of what we ingest. It can be in our field of experience. It can be the people, the environment that we're in. And so over the last few weeks, as these things have come up for us, have been showing us relationships that don't work, relationships with people, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with food, with finance, with work, with spirituality, with materialism, all of the different ways that you may have experienced that, and with health. So we've really stirred up a lot of stuff as we're sitting right in between these two major eclipses. We had a lunar eclipse last Friday, and then next Friday we have the solar eclipse. So we're right in the middle. And as I have just watched through the lens of my own life, I've noticed everything has really been shaken up. And that's what eclipses are supposed to do. They reveal to us lunar eclipses, they reveal the unconscious mind. And in the unconscious mind, we have unprocessed traumas and deep held beliefs that may not fully be in alignment with higher truth and wisdom. So if you review over the last week, things that have come up, maybe surprises, things about yourself or people in your life that maybe you've cut ties with at this point or just hasn't really set right with you. This is that point where it's all laid out on the table. And as always, the internal world is expressed in the external world. So in my life, I can see it really visually in my home. Before we left town, I ended up having to do a lot more. My commitment was really deep to something I was working with. And I had to let go of the desire to do all of the other things. I like to clean before I go out of town. So I ended up spending a lot more time on this commitment to create some online content, which became totally consuming. And then I had to just let go of the real need in me to have a clean home to return to. So I came home and I'm like, wow, this is a great example of what's happening for me internally. And so for me, I've experienced kind of a little bit of ungroundedness, like a little floaty, not in my same routine, even trouble like communicating and expressing myself, like attaching the words to the feelings. And that's all just a part of this shakeup. For several days, I had headaches. And I heard several other people too, and this preceded some of the cold symptoms. I've been fortunate not to have any cold symptoms, but what I had gotten is that these are the higher frequencies coming into the body. We're starting to biologically integrate into the higher frequencies, or rather they're starting to integrate into us. And so anywhere where there are still some misaligned energies, especially in the head centers, in the ajna, in the crown, in the alta, the ears, the throat, you'll find that you're going to have a head cold. It'll be something more focused around the head, and if you're experiencing it in other parts of the body, you also might be just having some kind of overall cold symptoms, maybe deep aching in your bones, and this is because the crown is balanced with the base, and that's related to our immune system. And without going too deep into the energetic anatomy, everything's getting restructured. So if you're sick, take care of yourself. It's a healing crisis. It's natural. It's Ascension Sickness. This happens every time we have one of these waves of light that come through our planet, these cosmic rays, the solar flares from the sun. All of this is upgrading the planet. So we're right in between the eclipses. It's a great time to observe everything that has gotten shaken up. I can look around my house and see, oh, okay, there's really like some deep cleaning stuff that I haven't acknowledged. And of course, I'm turning and looking at myself and going, okay, yeah, there's like some childhood trauma there that I thought I had addressed, but I really just kind of like stuck a little bit of it behind a dresser. So I say that just to give you some perspective. So look at the things that have been stirred up in you. Acknowledge them. Notice if there's an emotional charge to it. You need to keep visiting it. You need to self-study and ask the questions. If you don't know how to do that, or if you need assistance, there are plenty of resources available to you, especially now that we have connections through the internet or over the phone. You can do so much remotely, but also in person. If you're here in Birmingham, there's a whole community of energy workers and spiritual enthusiasts and guides, and so there's a lot of help available. I always think it's wonderful for you to have some sort of support network where you can use them as a mirror, and they help you with their own specific gifts clear the energy channels and bring awareness to parts of the personality that maybe haven't been confronted fully yet. So, some things that you can always do. Anytime that you're feeling under the weather, misaligned, there's some really easy, accessible to pretty much anybody who has internet or has access to outside. So, a few things that you can do. If you're dealing with head colds, working with frequency, vibrational medicine, working with certain frequencies and tones to help clear the head centers. And you could just Google something like the binaural beats is a good one, but you could get really specific too, and you could look at rife frequencies. You could look at, you just put in head clearing frequencies and you'll get maybe solfeggio tones. There's a lot of options there for that. And of course, doing a full body cleanse is important, not just focusing on the head, but just you could start there and see if that alleviates some of it. And the other thing is get outside. Go be in the sun. And in those prime hours where you're getting the vitamin D, get in the sun, receive all of the rays of the sun, which they in themselves have so many benefits. We know a lot about the physiological benefits with the vitamin D and helping the immune system, but this is also another way of both clearing and charging your body. If you're into crystals, you know the sun, the moon, these are both ways that we clear and charge crystals. Our body is a crystalline structure. It also receives very similar benefits. The other thing is get on the earth. Do your grounding. Be on the earth for if you're not feeling well, 45 minutes. Lay directly on the earth and the grass or on the dirt. If you have access to the water, you can get in the water. I know it's cold, but there are practices that really help to boost our immune system by doing a little bit of a breathing practice and then hopping in a cold lake, a cold shower, a cold river, and using that breathing practice while you're in there to stabilize your nervous system, but to boost all those white blood cells so that it can fight off infection. And so breathing's the other thing. Very simple breathing practices. These are all things that everyone I know has access to. There's very few people in the world that don't have access to these things. So take advantage of nature's medicine. It's so abundant and it's so healing, profoundly healing, and it just takes a little bit of time of giving yourself the space to just be and to receive and to get out of the doing. A lot of people, especially if they're hosting family, this can be so incredibly overwhelming. Having a lot of people in your space, a lot of different energy in your space. So take that time to really check in, see what you need. There's a lot of other things I haven't mentioned, so you just listen to that internal guidance. Maybe it's that you need something added into your diet. Maybe you need something taken away from your diet. Maybe you need less time on your phone or watching TV. Maybe you need more time sitting in front of a fire reading a book. Maybe there are some friends that you need to be with, or maybe you need that alone time. Of course, exercise, always, always, always great. You want to perspire and remove those toxins from the lymphatic and the bloodstream. And I think I'll stop there because I can go on and on and on about these. So if you are experiencing something really specific, drop it in the comments. I would love to just hear. Sorry, it's my dog. Love to hear some feedback about what your ascension symptoms are, where you're at, what you're realizing in your process, and know that it's going to be its own process as we move into this next new moon and the solar eclipse. I'll try to check back in around that time and just give another little forecast as it comes. So bless you all and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Thank you for being here.